think it's very important that a lot more needs to be done than what is currently being done. And a lot of companies have recognized that. And the start of that is a pledge to get your own operations net zero by, let's say, 2030, which is usually the easier part because you have everything under control. And then the larger, upstream, all your suppliers get to that to net zero by 2050. And I'm co-chairing the Alliance of CEO Climate Leaders, about 80 leaders who have done the similar pledge. And you're absolutely right that they all realize that the beginning of this journey is easier, is where they can do it themselves. But as you get down to 2050, it gets increasingly hard, actually exponentially hard, to the point where in the end, you'll have to find technologies to offset carbon out of the atmosphere. So in this alliance, we work together to encourage each other, to learn from each other, but also to look at the whole value chain, because the many companies who have done that pledge are actually in the consumer goods industry, which is really interesting. And once they look at their carbon footprint and how to get to 2050 net zero, they'll find out that 80% of the CO2 emissions are actually upstream with their suppliers, typically in hard-to-abate industries like mining, cement, transportation. And so these sectors on their own will find it very difficult to get to zero. But if you look through the value chain and look at the cost for the end consumer of these products, it's actually not that much more they would have to pay. Let's say a car would be, let's say, $500 more for a net zero car versus a normal car. So we have high hopes that if we bring everybody together across the value chains, we can get to this target of 2050 net zero, which is a tough target.
It feels like carbon trading has been around for decades now. And we've watched the fortunes of the carbon market and the carbon credit system wax and wane. I think we all understand that getting a firm price for carbon will actually take us a long way towards being able to encourage all businesses and governments to take this all more seriously. How far away do you think we might be from that?
Yeah, so Swiss Re has been engaged in this topic for a very long time, and I remember talking to the WEF 15 years ago around these topics, and usually we talked a lot about the problem, and we said there's just one solution, which is carbon price, which I think is theoretically correct. But nothing has moved. And I think these carbon offsets, which we also use at Swiss Re since 2003, we try to be carbon neutral, we say, which is by buying these carbon credits. But the credibility of that is not sufficient, and there's not enough movement. So this is why this new target, net zero, is actually not buying these credit, is to guarantee that the CO2 is either not emitted or extracted from the atmosphere. It's much tougher. And some of the technologies to do that are not yet here. So I think a lot of CEOs have seen that and understand that. And there's a switch away a little bit from this carbon trading towards the real measurement and action of the actual CO2 you are emitting or your supply chain is emitting.